Hey gang, how you doing? We are streaming again for our songwriting class. CreatiVets, we want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about songwriting and to talk about arts in general. Today on our songwriting class, we're going to session, I should say. It's not a class really. It's a session, just us chickens. But today we're going to we're talking about how to tell a great story and the different ways to tell a great story. And we're going to continue on that path of telling great stories. Today. So let's do this. Let's put this in there and let's post that. That's where the lyrics are. And we'll go L-I-N-K, link to L-Y-R-I-C-S. And it's called CreatiVets Story Songs. Alright, and we're going to post that. Alright, so how you guys doing out there, and you gals? Do we have any guys and gals yet? Let me go ahead and put my other glasses on because I can see you so much easier. There we go. That's so much easier to see. Here, good. Alright, go to Spotify. Alright, we're all set up here. While I'm waiting for people to come on board, I'll give you just a little rundown. First things first, let's put some coffee in the microwave. That's the microwave right there. Let's see, 25 seconds ought to do it. All right. While we're waiting for everything, for people to come on board, we can give a little wrap up of the elements of a great story. Is the characters. Well, first of all, we want to talk about the real world, right? There's the real world, there's the emotional world, the conclusive world, and the symbolic world, right? These are all the elements of lyrics. So in the real world, we have characters, place, and setting, right? We got those three things. Now, characters can do three things in the real world. They can be described, they can have actions, and they can have conversations, right? Okay. With the, and of course on the emotional side, they can have emotions, and they can draw conclusions, right? They can also talk in the symbolic sense of things, like I'm going to the Big Apple, which means I'm going to New York, right? So we can use those. You can use symbols. In the emotional world, we have feelings, right? And we've got and conversations. We also have inner conversations or inner dialogue, right? So you can be talking to yourself. That's important. Somebody brought that to my attention the other day on the chat, which was really awesome, right? Okay, let me just get my coffee over here. All right. That's lovely. That's lovely. Now, so we've got that. We're dealing with telling a good story. We need obviously stories have beginnings, middles, and ends, right? It's usually, we talk about it in 3 parts. We have 3 ways to develop a plot, and that is the linear, which is things start here, boom, boom, boom. So we start with, like, once upon a time, there was a boy, he goes to a cafe, he meets a girl, they go on a date. After 6 months, he proposes. You see, time passes, right? That is a linear. The next one we have is what I call the shift, which is the song starts to go one way, and then suddenly it takes a turn, a little surprise, somewhere in the song. It can be early, middle, or late. All right? And that's up to your creative ability and how much information you have before the shift and how much information you want to tell after the shift. So where the shift happens is kind of up to you and your creative moment. But let's say, for instance, we've used this example before, where one guy is talking to another guy, and the singer says to the guy, make sure you treat her right because I loved her first. So you're thinking that it's a guy that dated her earlier telling the new guy to take care of her because I loved her first. But in the middle of the second verse, you realize it's the dad of the girl talking to the groom who's about to get married to the girl. So that's the shift, where there's suddenly, oh, wow, it's going somewhere else. So you get this wonderful little surprise. So that's a shift plot. And then the third plot is a circular plot, where you start little boys. Once upon a time in a ghetto, a boy is born in the ghetto. And then it talks about the boy growing up, going from a little boy to a teenager, to where he gets into a scuffle and he gets killed. And then it says at the end, at the very last line, it says, and then once again, in the ghetto, once again, another little boy is born in the ghetto. So you see how we circled back all the way back around, right? Yeah, so that's a circular plot, right? Okay. Now, we always need something to start the song with its forward momentum. Something has to, you have to keep going. All songs have momentum, and the momentum keeps the interest. Now, there's 2 ways to get momentum. You can get momentum with unique details, not generic stuff, unique details. And the other one is, so we're going forward with details, or we can go deep, up or down, deep up, deep happy, or deep sad, with emotions, right? So emotions will move a plot forward, and details will move a plot forward, right? So that's the rough sketching of how we're going to tell a story, right? So we want to have an intro, a beginning, a setup, we call it in the songwriting world. We want to have a setup, and Harlan Howard used to say, tell him you're going to tell him, and then tell him you told him, right? So, and that's really advice for emotionally based songs, which Harlan wrote a lot of emotional songs. Didn't write a lot of story songs, but at any rate, tell him you're going to tell him, then tell him you told him, right? So the idea is stay focused on one thing and don't stray off the path. Make sure they know exactly what you're trying to sell them, because all songs are about compelling emotions. So as we tell the story, we want to make sure that we're staying with one emotional message and one emotional history. Now, what I mean by history is simply, let's say we're going to talk about a boy and a girl breaking up. I'm just making this up, right? So there's a breakup. Now, on the line of on the emotional history, we have when the boy first meets the girl, and they fall in love. Oh, then they're going along. They think everything's great, and then somebody doesn't like it, and they break up. So that's the emotional history. So what I mean by that is simply stay focused on what we're trying to get through. Our emotional message will be, it's really sad when one person gets really hurt on a breakup and the other one moves along and isn't as sad because they're the one that's initiating the breakup. So they might not be quite as sad. I mean, they will be sad, but the one that gets the news, there's the one that's really sad. So we're going to, in a song like that, in a breakup song, we want to make sure that we get that emotion across. That we're either going to talk about it from the guy's point of view or the girl's point of view. So the breakup, the breakuper, and the breakup-e, right? So there's the one that's doing the breaking up, and there's the one that's receiving it. So we want to make sure that we get all that emotional message in there, depending on which perspective we want to get it to. Now, we could get it on both perspectives by doing a him and her. So that's choosing the third person instead of me and you. You could choose him and her. And that would be a way to get, he says this, she's thinking this. Which reminds me, it's good to know this. This is a little tip about storytelling. If you want to get inside the heads of both, or all the characters, even if there's more than two, you can get inside the head and know what everyone's thinking if you do it he and she. Because you're the omnipotent observer. And being the omnipotent observer, you can actually go inside the brains of both people, right? It's really cool to know. So that's a little tip. If you want to know what both parties are thinking, do a he and she. If you're doing me and you can't know what you is thinking. You can guess what they're thinking. And you can know what they're thinking if they reveal something to you. Like if she blushes and turns away, then you know she didn't say anything, but you know what she's thinking, right? Yeah, because she did what in the poker business would be called a tell, right? So you can know what she's thinking. So these are all important little tips, right? So having said that, I'm wondering, is there anybody out there yet? Today it is already 20 after 11, and I'm wondering if someone's on the chat might say hello. Just curious if someone's there. If not, we're just going to go ahead and plow into this. We've already covered, in this quest, we've already covered several different plot techniques. We've covered the classic narrative in an earlier. We've covered the single situation. Well, actually, that's what we're going to do today. So, yeah, that's what we're doing today. We covered several plots, several classic narratives, actually. We covered Don't by Ed Sheeran, and we covered Long Road Out of Eden. All right? But today, we're going to do another type of storytelling, which is the single situation. We're going to tell a story from one place. I call it the snapshot, right? So this is a snapshot plot technique. So we're going to take one snapshot. We're going to do Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. Oh, God, I love that guy. Love, 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 love Otis. So we're going to honor Otis by breaking down this song, Dock of the Bay, right? And we're going to get into it. So what I want you to look for is, look for that forward momentum. Look for details and look for emotions. And let's see how many details there are in the physical world, and how much emotional reflection is there in this song. All right? So having said all that, let us listen to this song. It's absolutely wonderful. Let me know if you can hear it properly.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. 'Cause I've had nothing to live for, and look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change, everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Yes, sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Woo! What a wonderful song that is. Man, that's a great song. Now, to remind you again, you can get the lyrics at the link above, or you can simply just get on your computer, on your laptop, and just type in Dock of the Bay lyrics. And usually there's a thing called Lyric Find, and the lyric usually just pops right up on the very front page, and all you have to do is click. There's a very, very light arrow shaped like this. It goes like this at the foot of the lyric, and what that does is it opens up the entire lyric, because you'll only see maybe the first verse and chorus. But just look at that, very, very light. It's hard to see. Just click on that and boom, you'll have the whole lyric there. All right? So you can do it either way, either at the link there or just go online. All right? All right, so what have we got here? What kind of plot do we have? Well, clearly, it opens with sitting in the morning sun. Let me get these over here so I can talk to them without. We have sitting in the morning sun. I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. Then I'll watch them roll away again. All right? Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Right? Now, there's several interesting things about this. The first, let's talk about the music and the line rhythm. Meaning line rhythm, I mean da 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 da. That's the line rhythm, is the different syllables and different stresses per line, right? So we've got sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes. So that's a symmetrical line, right? So we've got a symmetrical couplet. Sun and come, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. So that's, again, two symmetrical couplets, and the symmetrical couplets rhyme. Sun, come, in, again, right? So that is very, very satisfying. It has a very strong sense of resolve, because there's no stress involved in that. And what's interesting about that is the song is going to be real sad, right? So he chose symmetrical couplets that rhyme, so there's no surprises there. He could have done this. Watch this. Sitting in the morning sun, watching the ships roll in. I'll be sitting when the evening comes, and I'll watch them roll away again. Now, there's a certain amount of stress there, because symmetrical couplets want to rhyme. So when I say sitting in the morning sun, you're expecting da-da-da-da-da-da-un. You're expecting, if it's going to be symmetrical, right? There are also asymmetrical couplets, and the ear does not want to hear them rhyme. So if I went sitting here in the morning sun, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Did you notice that the second line is a lot shorter? That's an asymmetrical couplet, and they're expecting those, your ear is expecting those not to rhyme. And what will complete the rhyme is another asymmetrical couplet. So if I went sitting here, sitting right here in the morning sun, watching the ships roll in, I'll be sitting around when the evening comes, watching rolling in again. That's what's expected, right? So, but in this case, so those are asymmetrical couplets where the second and fourth line have to rhyme, but the first and the third do not have to rhyme. It's an interesting phenomenon that we want to hear. We want to hear the last line of a series of couplets. We want to hear that last line. In this case, there was 4 lines. We want to hear that last line rhyme. So it's okay. We can rhyme it no rhyme, set up rhyme, no rhyme, complete the rhyme, right? So we can rhyme the second and the fourth line. We can also rhyme this line, this line, this line, and this line. So these two will rhyme, and these two will rhyme. Once again, we have a rhyme on the last line. There's another, a trickier one, which is not used that often, but we can go no rhyme, set up rhyme, an asymmetrical couplet. So it doesn't have, this one doesn't have to rhyme. This one's going to rhyme here, right? So da 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 da. So this is going to be ba da 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 way, da 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 fine, da 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 go, da 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 no. Notice this one didn't rhyme. It rhymed. These two rhymed. These two ended up not rhyming at all. That's called XXAA. X meaning no rhyme. X, no rhyme. AA. These two rhymed. Once again, the last, this little pinky cried all the way home, but it got the rhyme, right? So that's the deal with that one. But in this case, and of course, that is called unbalanced rhyme, and it's extremely, it's loaded with tension. So if he wanted to, if Otis wanted to, he could have created a massive amount of tension. If he'd gone sitting in the morning sun, sitting when the evening rolls in, watching the ships come and go, then I watched the whole evening flow. You see how it's like, whoa, the go and the flow rhymed, but nothing rhymed at the beginning. So it throws you off. It's one of those things that throws you off balance. But hey, you know, it works and you love it in the end. But what we've got here is sitting in the morning sun. I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Sitting in the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting in the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh, wait, that was the chorus. Sitting in the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting in the dock of the bay, wasting time. What do we got there? A. Bay away, bay, and then wasting time. Woo, what happened there? This is AAAX, right? This is a way, this is a trick, rhyme-wise, this is a trick to where you don't have to rhyme the last line, because you get the 3 rhymes before it, which satisfies your rhyme count, your rhyme needs, so the last line doesn't have to rhyme with anything, all right? So, once again, sitting in the dock of the bay, sitting in the morning sun, he didn't change the rhyme, he didn't change the line length at all between the verse and the chorus. So what we have here is what I call a groove song. And the groove, rather than being up-tempo, it's a ballad groove or a dirge. Usually ballad groove songs are usually sad because you get the monotony of the same line rhythm over and over, where you're expecting the verse line length and the chorus line length, you're expecting them to be different. So you're expecting, like, sitting in the morning sun, waiting till evening comes, watching the ships roll in, watch them roll again. Then we're expecting, like, sitting hard on the dock of the bay, watching the tide, watch it roll away. Now that would be, notice those lines are longer. They have more stresses and more syllables. So that would be something different. That's what your ear is expecting, is to have a different line rhythm for the verse and the chorus, right? This song doesn't have a lift, doesn't have a pre-chorus. It does have a bridge, which we'll talk about in a minute. So we have the same line length. And there's another thing that's going on here that's interesting that I want you to know about. And that is the notes that he's using are in the same note values as the verse. So da 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 da. We're sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide. Oh, there's one little note there. Watching the tide roll away. So there's one little difference, isn't there? Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. So besides that one little tide, they're all the same. And so what effect is that? Because we're expecting the notes to be different. Typically, you're expecting them to be a little higher in the chorus to make it sound a little brighter and a little bigger. A lot of choruses pick higher notes in the chorus than there are in the verse. And when I say higher, I don't mean a whole lot higher, because there's only a limited range, especially for men. Men have a range of 1 octave plus 2 or 3 notes. I know, that's crazy, but that really is the truth. When we're writing here in Nashville, we're careful not to go crazy with the amount of the distance between the bottom note and the top note. We don't want to go too far. Now, of course, there are men, and especially women, that are famous for having a big range. So for those people, we don't worry as much. But most men don't have that much of a range. Women typically have a little bit more of a range. They may have like an octave and like 4 notes or 5 notes. again, not that big. You know, you would think, oh yeah, people have a octave, 2 octaves range. No, they don't. The ranges aren't all that big. So it's something to keep in mind. When you write your chorus and you want to go up, I go up a third, or at the most a fifth. You know, and if you go up a whole octave, wow, you better be singing really low on the verses. And when I say a third and a fifth, what I mean is this. Let's go over to the piano here. Oh, somebody's here? I heard something. Let's see who's there. Oh yeah, thank you. Glad to have you on board. We're talking about situation plots today. This is how to tell a good story. So we're breaking down this song, Dock of the Bay. So if you want to go online and get that lyric real quick, or you can go to my link above, and you can go to a folder and click on the document that says CreatiVets Story Songs. At any rate, what was I doing? Oh, okay, go back to Spotify. We'll push that over a little bit so we can see stuff. There we go. So a third means like, see, make sure you can hear it. Can you hear that? You can probably hear that, right? So a third is, so here's the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how we talk about music in Nashville. Now, so 1, 2, 3. So 1 and the 3. Listen to how they harmonize. Oh, how nice. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's put them all together. The 1, 3, and the 5. That's a major triad. So when I'm singing down here, now, so that's the verse. Those are my verse things. So to do the chorus, I might choose to go up here. Da, 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 da. You know, see what I mean? Or you can go way up here if you want to. So, you know, you have to be careful not to go too much higher, right? But in this song, what's happening in this song, Dock of the Bay, is the notes are basically, except for that, you know, except for tied, they're all the same. So what's the effect of that? The effect is kind of sad, right? So, in other words, we could have gone sitting on the dock. Let's see what key this thing's in, so we can be singing in the same key. Let's listen to this again.
It's gonna come my way, so I'm just gonna sit.
It's in the key of G. Sitting on dock of the bay, wasting time. So I've been sitting on dock, so it's the same down there, watching the tide roll away. Dock of the bay, wasting time. But he could have gone, instead of, you know, like, sitting in the morning sun, I'll So there's the verse. You could have gone, you know, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time, wasting time, wasting time. But he didn't do that. Dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Same thing. I think that's it. Yeah, just the 1 to the minor 2. Anyway, an interesting musical do-wacka-to-do there, right? They chose not to go, not to go up at the chorus, but to stay the same. Except for watching the tide roll away, right? Watching it roll away again. Yeah, tide, that's the highest note. Tide roll away. Okay, so let's look. So those are all the musical and the line rhythm and rhyme things. Let's look at what's going on story-wise, lyrically. Let's see how they're developing that. So we know just by, we've talked about this before, but we know that the music dominates over lyric always. So when you have this, when you have this kind of, doesn't really sound happy, does it? So we know that the song is sad, right? Yeah. So we already know this isn't going to be a happy song. In the world of storytelling, there's only two basic lines: comedy and tragedy, right? We got the happy phase and we got the sad phase, right? Yeah. So let's look. We know from the music, before we even get into the lyric, we know that it's not going to be a real happy song, right? It might be a very intimate song, talking about, how much I love you, but with all the minor chords, it doesn't sound like it's going to be, right? So, sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening come, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Interesting setup, isn't it? So we always have a setup, then we have a middle, and then we have a closing, right? So in storytelling, usually it goes in 3 parts. And sometimes we have what we call plot points, where we have like a surprise, that helps move the plot forward, right? Okay, so we have a lot of description here. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes. That's interesting. See, so I'm sitting here and I'll still be here when the evening comes. So we jump to the future, don't we? Sitting in the morning sun, and I'll be sitting when the evening comes. So morning, evening. He's going to be sitting for a long time. So right away we're feeling, oh, that was a nice little opening bit, because we have a sense of, wow, you're going to be there a long time. So already we're a little worried, right? Why is he going to be there for such a long time? Watching the ships roll in. Oh, so that's the first clue as to where is this? Sitting where? I'll be watching the ships roll in and then watch them roll away again, right? Once again, all descriptive observations, right? I'm going to observe this. I'll be here observing this. So the whole first verse can be nothing about nothing more than these are my observations from this place, right? So you can start a song saying, I'm at this place and I'll be here for a certain length of time. And in that certain length of time, I'll see this happening and I'll see this happening, right? So you can use that as a plot technique for your own song. So I think what I'm kind of saying is, you can take any song you like, you can break it down, and then you can follow that formula and write your own song. So I could be sitting on a fence post out on the prairie of my ranch watching the horses come and go and eat and feed and do whatever horses do, right? Oh dear, I need to heat this up a little bit. Here we go. So observations. Now, we jump in. Notice that there's not very much of a verse. There's only 4 lines in a verse. And then we get into this sad chorus because we notice that the notes don't go up. When your chorus notes go up, that's a sign of excitement of some kind, right? It can be, wow, this is wonderful, or it can be, watch out, look out. She's witchy woman, long, tall woman in a black dress. Look out, she's mean, she's evil, blah, blah, blah. So, going up is, whoa. Staying the same and going down is a whole different emotion musically. So we go sitting on the dock of the bay. Okay, we're in the dock, we're in the bay. Watching the tide roll away. Nice positioning of that one high note. In the middle of that second line, and the word tide. That's an important word. We're watching, sitting in the dock of the bay, watching the tide. So we know it's salt water, right? It's not a freshwater lake, it's a saltwater situation. Oh, God. Must have coffee. All right, here we go. Oh, that's so... Plasma. Got to have the coffee. All right, so sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. That wasting time, it wasn't the title of the song, but how important is that word? It's really describing how he feels, doesn't it? He's wasting time. So right away, we get a sense that this guy's really, I don't know if you'd call it hopeless, but he's very depressed. He's very sad. He doesn't like what's going on. He's not happy with his life, right? So we have a setting where the singer is there, and he's going to tell you how long he's going to be there. He's going to tell you the observations, right? And then he tells you the location again in the chorus. He says, "I'm sitting on the dock of the bay." So that's more specific, which is kind of cool. Notice that he starts general, and then later he goes to specific. Going that general to specific is an old songwriting trick. Let me give you another example. Is like, I saw the old, let me sing it for you because, hey, it's fun. I got my Gibbo, love my Gibson, right? With all my capos, right? So we can go like, well, the old man sat in the rocking chair, watching the chickens peck. All right, so we're watching the old man in the rocking chair, right? And then in the chorus, yeah, my daddy was a good old boy. My daddy brought me joy. My daddy. So we know the old man in the verse, and now in the chorus, we're more specific. More specific. My daddy or my granddad or my uncle or whatever. You see the trick of that? You start, because remember we talked about we want the arc of the storyline to go up, 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 up until the end, and then turn it. You can resolve it a little bit kind of at the end, have a little resolve-y thing at the end. But we always want that arc of entertainment over time to keep moving up. And we move up with, what is it? You know it. Unique details and emotions, right? Unique details going forward and emotions going either deep up or deep down, Either way, depending on whether you're happy or whether you're sad. So, sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, watch them roll away again. Now this is interesting, sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay. There isn't any emotions spoken of in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, right? But do we get emotions? Yes. Because the describing things, the way he's describing things and what he will be doing, give it away. And that's a wonderful thing. We've heard this before. We've heard show, don't tell. Am I right? You know I'm right. I'm always right. Show, don't tell. This is a great show, don't tell moment in songwriting history, is it not? All right. So he's giving you emotions through the details. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes. Brilliant. We know that long period of time, something's not right. Why would he be sitting there? And then watching the ships roll in, watch them roll away again. Again, there's a sadness to that. I watch them come in, I watch them go. It's like, right? And then sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay. Nice repetition there, right? So part of our storytelling involves repeating things when you're doing lyrics, right? So remember that we have the things that keep interest are unique details, contrast, and repetition, right? So what we have here is we have some the only contrast we have is wasting time. And look at it, it's the last line of the chorus. And it just kills you, doesn't it? Wasting time. Notice that wasting time only has 3 syllables. Wasting time has 2 little stresses. Wasting time. Right? I love the sudden, unexpected shortening of that last line. And that last line is the first emotional reflection we've had in all 8 lines. Only one emotion. Right there, wasting time. Really well placed. Contrast to all the details, right? We have descriptions, observations, descriptions, observations, and then the emotional reflection. I'm wasting time, right? I love that. Now, we get into the second verse, and let's see where he goes with this. So we have a setting, and we have a future. We know he's going to be there even when it gets dark. But still, there we are on the dock of the bay, and he's watching stuff. So let's see where he goes from there. Does he stay there? Does he stay? I'm checking my watch. I'm thinking maybe I'm hungry. Does he stay there? He could have, but let's see what he does. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. Whoa. Very, very typical trick here in storytelling. We start with the present in the first verse, and we go to the backstory in the second verse. This is very typical, very expected, one of the most expected things to do in a song that is a snapshot. This is a snapshot. This is a single situation. But single situations can and often do have backstories. Why? Because it gives more information. It gives you more compelling reasons to listen. So he's sitting here and he's sad. Why is he sad? let's give him a history of the sadness. Very typical, and I recommend you doing this for yourself. Wonderful, okay? So here we are. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, because I've had nothing to live for and looked like nothing's gonna come my way. Whoa! What in the hell is happening here? Because I've had nothing to live for. So he left Georgia to go to Frisco because Georgia was really letting him down. He had hopes that San Francisco might do something, and it says, and looked like nothing gonna come my way. I call this high impact writing. With just 4 lines, he's telling you such a vast amount of information. So he said, I left my home in Georgia, headed for Frisco Bay. So we've got some nice imagery, backstory. We've got some movement, right? He's going to move from this place to this place, right? And then, because I've had nothing to live for, so description, action, and I've had nothing to live for. Wow, that's a conclusion, right? That's more than just an emotion. That's conclusion. I lived in Georgia, and the conclusion of that life was it sucked. That's my conclusion about Georgia. Georgia wasn't great. Now we happen to know that Otis Redding's a black guy. Now that black guy thing definitely does tie in with this. You know, if you're at all sensitive about the troubles that black people are having right now throughout the world, but definitely in America, that is adding to the sadness and the tension, you know, of the hopelessness and so forth. So, so that's just adding to it. I left my home in Georgia, headed for Frisco Bay, because I had nothing to live for. And this is the killer moment. And notice as the killer moment's at the end of the section. And looked like nothing's going to come my way. Once again, another conclusion. 2 conclusions at the end of this second verse. Wow. And those conclusions are really, really big. Right? So we have a description of things, where he is, and the amount of time he's going to do it. We have a more focused description, in the chorus, and then we have the wasting time, that one emotional thing to say, well, if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm pretty sad. And then the backstory in the second verse. I did this. This is where I grew up. I moved away because I was really not doing very well there. Things weren't working out. And because I had nothing to live for. I mean, wow, nothing to live for. I mean, he didn't want to live. I mean, that is some severe, serious shit going on there, right? And then he says, look like nothing's gonna come my way. Whoa, man. So he was disappointed with San Francisco. San Francisco is letting him down. So there he is sitting. He explains everything. Why is he sitting there? Why is he going to sit there all day? Because the dude is clinically depressed. He is really sad. So I'm going to sit in the dock of the bay watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting in the dock of the bay wasting time, right? And then he goes, now we come to the bridge. Let's listen to this bridge. See if we can find that bridge. Here's the bridge.
Look like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Yes.
Wow. Whoa. Now what just happened? Look like nothing gonna change. Notice where we are in the song. 1, 2, 3, 4 sections down. Verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Now here comes the bridge. And at this point, what does that signify? Look like nothing gonna change. That sounds pretty frustrating, doesn't it? When he goes, ah! You know, he's like, ah! Look, nothing's gonna change. So with that, finally now, the whole section is higher. Remember we talked about, here. Up here. Let's see, do we go that high? Watching the tide. Watching the tide. That's the highest note of the chorus. We're way up here. Look. We're doing an octave. Look, Mama, nothing's gonna change. So we went way up high, didn't we? So that going up that high late in the song, really just, that is a massive amount of contrast. Contrast creates interest, doesn't it? And the placement of that is just freaking crazy amazing, right? Now let's look at what he's saying. Look like nothing gonna change. And that's an interesting thing because he's already stated this. So it's interesting that he restates it. He could have given us some new information there, but he didn't. He repeats it. And all we can think of is he's really so frustrated, and this is an important point to make. He's so frustrated, he's in what I would call a heightened emotional moment, another way we can say it is he's in a confessional moment. He's confessing something. In other words, you've held it in, and then you gotta blur it out, right? When you get into that heightened state of emotion and you're confessing something to the audience completely forgives you. This is really awesome. They completely forgive you for being ultra simple. And they forgive you for being repetitive because you're so emotional. In other words, the music is carrying this moment. Look like nothing gonna change. Everything still remains the same. Nice. Look, did you notice that the line rhythm is different? Look like, pause, da 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 da. So it's da 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 da. Remember, the line rhythm is da 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 da. Now we're da 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 da. Nothing gonna change. Da 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 da. Really nice contrast. So we've got contrast in line rhythm, and we've got contrast in picking notes that are higher, right? Also, so the intervals are all different. Da da, pause. Pausing is always good because we have momentum, and occasionally we want to contrast that momentum. Every now and then, we don't do it too often. Do a stop. Look like nothing gonna change. That's a real effective thing to do, especially look at how far down we are, and we've been so monotonous, right? Da 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 da. Except wasting time. So here we are with massive amounts of contrast, high notes, different note lengths, and a sudden stop. Very nice. And so all that is really keeping our momentum going. So let's see, as far as story goes, what are we doing? Look like nothing going to change. Repeating the same thing. Everything still remains the same. So again, these are things that we already knew. Nothing's going to change. still everything remains the same. Now, here's the new information. And again, we got away with that because of the confessional. We're in this confessional moment, and the music is so interesting. It's so bam that we really didn't care that he's saying the same thing because the music is so incredible, right? And I actually thought it was, look, Ma, nothing's going to change. I didn't realize it as looked like nothing's going to change. I always thought, you know how you misinterpret, like, excuse me while I kiss this guy? Some people thought, oh, wow, Jimi Hendrix is gay. Well, maybe he is. No, he's not. But that's all right. He was famous for a womanizer. He was a famous womanizer. He may have had a couple of guys thrown in there. Who knows? But at any rate, it's funny how people misinterpret certain lyrics. Look, Ma, nothing's going to change. I thought that would have been a cool thing, like he reflects back to his mama. And so I always thought it was, look, Ma, nothing's going to change. But it's look like nothing's going to change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. Wow, what is happening there? He can't do what 10 people, and of course 10 is a metaphor for a lot of people. He's not counting 1, 2, 3, 4. No, he's not doing that. We know that that's just a metaphor for a lot of people are trying to tell him what to do. So it looks like, so I guess I'll remain the same, right? Isn't that interesting that same, everything still remains the same? So I guess I'll remain the same. Still, I'll. This is a great trick. And I just noticed this, by the way. This is an internal end rhyme. Yes, internal end rhyme. So what are we rhyming? We're rhyming still and all. Let me write this down here, over here. I-N-T-E-R-N-A, internal end rhyme. Now it's a soft rhyme. It's not a perfect rhyme, but it's definitely a soft rhyme. We hear still remains the same, I'll remain the same. So remain the same is repeated in the line below it. Still remain the same, I'll remain the same. So we hear the still and the I'll, right? And that still and I'll, it's as strong as if it were at the end of the line. I'll give you another example, the Willie Nelson song. Hello, walls, let me talk to you a while. Hello, floor, let me walk with you a while. Talk with you a while, walk with you a while. All right? We hear the talk and the walk so strong that it's as if it were at the end of the line, right? Pretty cool, huh? Internal end rhyme. So it's actually a nice trick to know. Let's say, for instance, you have a line that ends with love. You know, this world is filled with love. Now you have to rhyme it. And you know how hard it is to rhyme love. And that's another story, because actually it can be a lot easier if you go to wikirhymer.com. If you buy the pro version, which I think is $14 a year, you get the pro version or something like that. It's 10, 14, somewhere in there. You can find you can find over 1,000 rhymes for love. Yes, you heard me right. Anyway, let's just say love, because that's typically a hard word to rhyme. The world is filled with love. I now was spilled with love. Or until the love. See, I'm rhyming spill, filled with spill, or until. See what I mean? I knew love was a hard word to rhyme, so I moved inside the line to the next word that had any kind of strength to it. Like, the world is filled. Now, fill is a strong word. With, not so much. But so I'm going to say, let's try to rhyme fill. So, and yes, I'm still in love. The world is filled with love. And yes, I'm still in love. Do you see how I did that? I didn't have to rhyme love. Check it out. Didn't have to rhyme love. Isn't that great? That's called internal end rhyme, right? And he did it with this. Everything still remains the same, so I guess I'll remain the same. It's soft, but you get the L, still and all, I and all, ah and I. Soft rhyme, soft vowel rhyme, but still the effect is there, right? So, okay, so that's that little something right there. Okay, let's move on to the last verse.
Here resting my bones, help me to do. So I guess I'll remain the same. Yes.
I like to remain the same. Remain the same. That's a nice little inner rhyme, right? Remain the same. And so another little bit, we're keeping that interest going up, right? That little pop of rhyme, remain the same. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. 10 people tell me. There's some nice little, so there's a little assonance in there. 10 and tell. Do, to do. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. Ooh, ooh. 3 little oohs in there. 10 people tell me to do. Te, te. There's assonance and there's alliteration. That's an alliteration. T and T. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. Very nice. Very nice, isn't it? T, t. All right. Now, did we get to that last?
Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away.
Oh, that's a nice chord. Did you notice that? Da-da. Is it in the dock of the bay? It's a nice little, that note in there, boy, that really is a dissonant note. It's an inharmonic tone, isn't it? Let's see. Very nice. It's a 9. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8, 9. Very nice, very nice. A 9. So why am I making this point? Because it creates a massive amount of stress. Throwing that dissonant note in there, that's very, very sweet. So again, let's go over that last But see what he's saying. Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. So he's resting bones, which is kind of like, oh, sitting here resting my bones. You know, again, it's staying in that sadness, isn't it? And this loneliness won't leave me alone. So we've got resting my bones, which is, again, using another great trick, is using a single part of a body to represent the whole body. Like I'm resting my bones, but he's resting his whole body, right? He's resting these bones. Great trick. Anytime you can do that. You can use eyes. These eyes will never love again. These lips will never kiss again. That means, you know, your whole body. So it's fun. It's fun to take a part of the body and turn it in and have it represent a bigger thing, right? Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. So we have a description with a symbol like bones representing the whole body, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Again, emotion, big emotion. It's 2,000 miles I roamed just to make this dark my home. So again, we're feeling the extreme sadness. He's being more specific from Georgia to San Francisco. He's saying 2,000 miles. So he's being more specific there, just to make this dark, meaning just to this lonely place. Like San Francisco's bustling and a wonderful, you know, it's all happening here in San Francisco, all the hippies and stuff. It was written during that era. Just to make this dark my home. So that's it. That's all we can do is, you know, sit there on a dock. Pretty sad. Now I'm going to sit at the dock of the bay watching the tide roll away, right? So interesting that he made the point, like, looks like nothing's going to change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. That's the only emotional, compelling reason that we have in the entire song. Isn't that interesting? Now, let me tell you why. And this is an old secret again. When we're writing sad songs, always remember this. Less is more. Can we remember that? Less is more. And less is what we get here. We only get one explanation. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. That's pretty specific. Again, 10 people representing just about everybody he runs into, right? I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. So I guess I'll remain the same. And we don't know how to interpret that, except for the fact, again, this man is black, and he came from Georgia, which is the South, which has a reputation, well, the South in general, has had a reputation for treating blacks not quite as equal. And of course, it's that way, South, North, Midwest, West. But, you know, at any rate, so he knows things weren't working out for him in Georgia. He comes to San Francisco, the hippie capital of the world, right, where everything should be just terrific. Woo! But he's having a terrible time in San Francisco. He can't do what 10 people tell him to do. We don't know what those things are, but it sounds like it has that vibe, like you do this, you do that, like commanding vibe, making commands to this black guy, you know. And we have that sense of we have that sense that it could be racially charged, right? And so because it's very subtle, again, less is more. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. There's nothing about black and white in there, but yet we have that massive amount of stress, right? And we also, at least I did, this is my personal reflection, but back when I was a hippie in San Francisco, when I was there, when this song was released, I remember having great sympathy. You know, I remember feeling like everybody wants to love Otis Redding. Otis Redding was the most lovable guy. You know, when you saw him live and when you heard anything about him, he was always this, you know, super cheerful, upbeat guy. And so it was really, really very moving for him to give you this really sad story. So again, we have that contrast between this happy-go-lucky guy, blah, 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 you know, and then suddenly this really sad song. So we get an inside, he's peeling back some of the layers, right? And he's saying, sometimes things are really not good for me. And another little trick that he's doing is we have a sense that he's representing a bigger picture. We don't have, I never really thought that he was sad all the time. I thought he was representing somebody that maybe he talked to. He may have talked to some guy, maybe black guy, that said, Otis, you bring me up, you know, I've been having this terrible time. I came from Georgia, I came to San Francisco expecting everything to be wonderful. And I'll tell you, I'm being treated just as bad here as I was, you know. And so Otis goes, man, that's a song. That's a song. I'm going to write a song for you, right? At any rate, I'm projecting my own feelings into it, so I do qualify what I'm saying as my own interpretation, right? But nonetheless, what a wonderful song. I've got to say goodbye for today, but I thought there was a lot of lessons in this song. So I hope you picked up some things that you can use in your own songwriting. And we learned about storytelling from the perspective of one location, how we can describe things, how we can have things moving, events. Remember we talked about doing things, descriptions, actions. We have actions, the ship's coming and going, and we have conversations. Now he did say, I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. Oh, see, there's the conversation, isn't it? Tell me. All right, that's a conversation. So he did slip conversations in there. Very, very interesting. I mean, this song, you know, it's a song that lives throughout time. It'll always be on playlists because of the wonderful marriage of sad lyric and sad melody and sad chords. That wonderful 9 chord. Whoo, man, that's Steve Cropper. This song was written by Otis Redding and Steve Cropper, and it's a masterpiece. And so our happy-go-lucky Otis Redding is so sad. So that really added to the whole brevity, the weight of this song, didn't it? Yes. Okay, well, come back Friday, and we will go. We'll continue with this wonderful What Makes a Great Story, and we're going to talk about a song that I love, and it's called When the Lights Go Down. And that song was sung by Faith Hill. It was written by the wonderful Rivers Rutherford, the wonderful Craig Wiseman, and the even more wonderful Jeffrey Steele. Great song, absolute masterpiece. I can't wait to talk to you about it. All right? So until then, keep it on the double nickel. I'll see you on the flip-flop. Adios, amigos.